My name is Marcello Benatti. I'm a solution specialist for data platform for Microsoft. I'm here to talk to you about retail analytics leveraging the Microsoft Business Intelligence stack. As you can see in your screen, you can see our visual representation of our retail analytics platform represented with the following products being utilized. We are currently hosting this website in Azure, which is Microsoft Cloud Solution. We're using SharePoint 2013, Office 2013 Professional, Windows Server 2012, and Windows SQL Server 2012. We will be doing an update on this series to highlight the features and benefits of Power BI, but we'll do that for a later session. So as you come in to the website, this is your landing page, and it's targeted at an analytics company or somebody within the retail environment. Within the retail segment, there's some very specific metrics which are near and dear to me from my background in Nielsen and measuring and understanding what folks do when they purchase something. And it's very important for the retailer to also understand because the margins are very small to understand the segmentation, the product distribution, and which client is buying what at which location. So the first impact we have within this website, so the SharePoint site, is the sales channels and the distribution methods that they have available. We're running against a real live data set, which is being sanitized, and we're using live data from the cloud, and it's now hosted on Azure. And we have created, we're looking at retail analytics, and we're looking at channel sales for specific locations. The three channels we selected for them are reseller, catalog, and online, web technologies and online. We follow the same technology format when we do our reports to enable us to select the reports by clicking on a visual representation of the icon. These representations could also be matrices. You can set up to be a logo, but the navigation is made simple so that you can see and highlight the areas that you want to focus on. So let's go back to the main presentation, highlight it in full screen mode, and give an idea of how the filtering process that takes place. For this particular scenario, we are measuring how catalog sales, your selection, whatever selection you pick up in here, highlights and filters some of the other reports. So we see audio. The categories we have are audio, TV, video, computers, and cameras and camcorders. Those are exemplary. And we look at sales volume and profit margin per those over a period of time. Again, leveraging Power View reports. Each and every one of those reports is a Power View, a kind of like web part, if you're familiar with SharePoint, that gets placed within the context of a SharePoint repository. We leverage SharePoint because of the user ability that you have to manage security roles and permissions. So the idea with business intelligence, specifically with analytics, is to provide information to people in a pertinent, relevant, and role-specific ability, whatever they want, in a timely fashion, and again, now in a device of their choice. Microsoft is a mobile-first, cloud-first technology company, and this is why I chose to showcase these technologies, leveraging my Surface Pro 3 and using Azure Cloud. So this is the behavior of this website. It's pretty much identical to the behavior of any one of our websites, whether you host it on premises. We take in the second Power View report, and this is international sales channels. And we again evaluating how the international sales channels and how is US, North America, and Canada doing against Asia and Europe. And we take in the same exact icons and same ideas to see how products are performing. So if we would just select and compare, you can see what the measurements are. Come back to our navigational interface. And we look at something else. Something that's very important and near and dear to all the retailers. Consumer demographics. What makes up your client? For retailers, it's important to know and understand who's buying your product and why. So the consumer demographics, and we selected US, go again to full screen mode, And just for the benefit of those who are watching in, these graphics, they do not have, you can present them in full screen mode. You can bring them across a specific graphic so people click on them specifically, and they can be brought across in a tablet, in an iPad, an Android, because they support HTML5 as well as Silverlight. This demo was built in Silverlight because it gives us some of the more interesting features and capabilities. Our product, Power BI, highlights HTML5, and you have pretty much close fidelity with the ability to report and present. So for the particular scenario, we select the consumer demographics across the US, and we want to understand the gender of our clients, the marital status, as well as the income bracket where they fall in. So imagine you're trying to find where you're going to place a store. And depending on the products that you're selling, in this particular case, electronics products and goods, you want to place them in an area that's typically that's typically within a certain income bracket, because they're going to be buying more in terms of technology, electronics, and consumer goods. And then you want to target your special demographics. Understanding who your clients are enables you to do target demographics and advertising to those specific areas. And then again, measure the impact of those specific campaigns and see how effective they are or not being with regards to promotions. So, which brings us back to our third channel, sales promotions. What kind of promotions as a retailer you run, whether it's coupons, online email blasts, and some of the different analytics. So we also offer discounts on some of the specific regions and products. So if you're a retailer, you really want to understand how your promotions are functioning and working or not. For this particular scenario, we're going to select the North America holiday promotion. We're nearing Thanksgiving and Christmas season in the US, so it's our high season for retailers. This is the area that the retailers really kick into high gears and they start offering special pricing, promotions, and campaigns. I heard the other day some folks already waiting outside Best Buy. It's 20 days out to Thanksgiving, and they're waiting for Black Friday sales. They want to be the first ones in line. So no comment on that one, as what kind of work they do or what they're going to be buying or how much they want to save. But cost benefit analysis does not explain the mentality of the average retail consumer. So that's just, they want to be the first in line, and that's an emotional state that's pretty difficult to measure from the analytics standpoint, but it hits pretty much in what we call sentiment analysis. So come back here and you can see the sales promotions, and you can select the filters by simple hovering and clicking on them. And you can dig down and see the specific measurements that you have or the KPIs associated to each one, discount amount, the sales quantity, to see whether or not this campaigns work. It's very interesting when you're an international retailer to observe that sometimes certain campaigns work very well in one geographic area, but you do not work on other areas, or special promotion pricing sometimes works in one location, but it does not on the other area. So it's good to have an understanding how this things works too. So what do? We want to measure. Retailer is very important. As you can see here, this is also a ticker that I put as a web part of a ticker. So you can have different information that's presented. So you can see information that's coming from the market trends and the RAG industries showing what's happening there. And you can click on that and have your end user come to those sites if they choose to go so. But for purposes of the demo, we're not going to click through on those areas. We're going to click the performance metrics and the report that talks specific to performance. And again, we want to look performance and forecasting. If you're a retailer, you want to understand what products you're doing and how you're trending over time. Again, for the filters, we select the PNG graphic files, and instead of having naming conventions, we use the representation of a graphical interface to showcase how easy it is to navigate through the report and select your filters. As you talk about users using tablets and mobile devices, this type of reporting is icon graphic is based, and you do put what the title is in case they don't know there's a computer or there's a camera, but you always put it on there, but it makes it more interesting and more appealing when you're doing a presentation. So for this particular scenario, we look at the cameras and camcorders, and we look at the categories and how they are actually projecting for a scenario on actual budget and the forecast that they have for the specific sales. Power BI is a great tool, and enables you to do a lot of work with on demand and changing some of the key attributes that you have by selecting the filters right here. For this report, when we created this, we have monthly basis. We have the different label of all the reports and the timelines, and we can filter it back and forth and select the different products for home appliances and what's selling what refrigerators, washers, and dryers. As long as your data set has all the information, you can represent it on a graphical interface and make it easier for you and users to view it and analyze it. Another interesting categorization of that we do for retailers is the ability to see your product mix. What products are selling what, where, and who's interested in buying them, what promotions tied to them. The interesting part with retail is when you calculate your inventory and you forecast reporting your levels of inventory to specific reasons, you need to understand how things are going over time and projection. So for this particular scenario, we took an example of all the different elements that we have in here, and we plotted in terms of the sales amount, in terms of and quantity, and over a 3-year time period. So if you look at Power View, Power BI, and all the products that Microsoft is putting out on the Microsoft stack, we want to enable our end users to have the ability to see, they have the control to see how things are performing over a specific given time. Or if you click on the icon, you can see how trends and sales are trending over a period of time. And you can select, again, the value of our specific year, and you can see the report refreshes. So you can see 2012 on values over a certain period. All the other reports are specifically affected and how they specifically, by selecting this, just look at the idea. Back to our main line. We want to see location of the stores. For purposes of this demo, we have a simple overlay over Bing Maps. It's asking permission to go outside since I'm using a non-VPN line. He knows that I'm on the outside. So it's asking me permission to go outside and look at the information. And it defaulted to Europe because I was just doing a presentation on the European side. So let's go back to North America. Let's expand the screen so you can see more detail on that. Show you that I'm on Azure on the cloud. And we can see select of the stores. As you hover over each one of those stores, you can see the selling areas, capacity. And one of the things that we like to present is you can see a specific location, and you have the store manager, the telephone number, the number of employees they have, the square footage of the area, the sales amount, and returns amount. How much sales you have in a specific location, and how many returns. By evaluating the types of returns or locations, you can see product placement or the product is correct, or if there's a competitive reason of the defaults. It's interesting to observe those metrics and how they come back. Clicked on a report. I haven't finished completed doing it. So this basically, it's our highlight of the information for the